Go. Morning, morning, everybody. Hope everybody is well. It's Thursday. I've decided to turn up aggression ever so slightly. So I have gone to the three entry model, like I explained. What I think I'm gonna do is I'll make sure I mention to you guys obviously when I'm gonna turn it up exactly like I did this morning. So why do I like this morning? Just because of where the dollar is, at the moment. Lots of times we've been, I like dollar obviously macro wise trending to the upside just because of where yields are. They've stayed where they are. If they'd have moved the equivalent to the dollar, they'd be trading down here. All right, they haven't. They've held up high. All right, so that means to me there's a lot of movement that the obviously the dollar can go into. Now, obviously, when did we wake up yesterday morning? So if we looked at yesterday morning, price was like here, all right, and obviously we've got resistance here, support here. Macro overall outlook hasn't changed, so I really liked where it was here. I was kind of hoping we were going to come down and tap into this 99,500 before we've had this move that we've got into right now. But no, happy. I do think this 100 is going to get tapped. So let's wait and see. But obviously that's my overall kind of outlook as to why I was a bit more aggressive. Plus, what I want to mention to everyone, which, sometimes we forget is, when you're building up some good profits like this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we can be a little bit more aggressive Thursday and Friday, so yeah, let's, wait and see obviously what happens. But no, I'm pretty happy, in regards to that aspect. What have we got coming out today? We got 2 more days. Remember these weird timings. Our clocks shift. They spring forward this weekend, so it'll be back to 1:30 trades in the afternoon. I hate this 3 week thing 'cause it feels like, well, in some ways I probably like it actually because our afternoon is over and done quite early. But obviously, yeah, we've obviously got some jobless claims set to increase. Wouldn't surprise me, and I think that's the expectation. All right, so. Remember, these are the numbers which are priced in pre, news because that's the forecast, that's the expectation. All right, so we're expecting worse data, and obviously dollar is still moving to the upside. This is all this the potential peace talks here. So the dollar somehow Trump has managed to benefit on by both ends. Hopefully these peace talks are good. Everything's back to normal, and there's no more bombs and no more hurt, nothing. So obviously that is what we are kind of hoping for here. So yeah, let's wait and see obviously what happens retrospect in that angle. But yeah, that's obviously what we're looking into this afternoon. So we wait until 12:30, and then obviously we can yeah, we can capitalize as much as we can. Right, the looking into what we're actually looking at this morning and why let's go for the top pair. So Aussie was my top pair just because, like I mentioned, these last few days we've been moving very slowly. And obviously I do like this, moving to the downside, coming in and obviously testing these lows. We've obviously not had the pullback that obviously I wanted on anything. So obviously it was a good idea to go a bit more aggressive this morning, So yeah, let's wait and see obviously what happens. And then obviously we got pound nearly tapped us, but obviously didn't. Euro going really well. If I click on mine, yeah, I'm about 7.5K, which is brilliant. Really happy. So yeah, I do actually think this might continue to the downside. Gold here. I really want this to tap. I do think we do have another drive to this downside here just because of how yields are trending. You think when yields are up at this price, what price was gold at? All right, gold was tr trading down here. All right, so I do think there is room for obviously gold to have one more dive to the downside, 100%. So let's just gotta wait and see, and just hope that obviously we can get a trigger. I always like one thing that I do completely differently. I pre-plan every trade. I want markets to come to me. I plan out, almost, simulate what I want to happen. And obviously, that's why it's a bit more of a profitable strategy because obviously, if you're waiting, if you're patient, if you, simulate what is going to happen, then, you're obviously going to, yeah, you're going to be able to capitalize on it, as opposed to chasing it. So yeah, I've put the macro report in the channel too. So obviously you guys can have a look at that and the expectations of this morning. So obviously this is how I'm setting up the trades on all of the pairs this morning. When I go a bit more aggressive, what I'm going to do is not change my entries. So obviously rather than my ideal zone being here, I'm not going to tweak it up slightly anymore. I'm just going to add in the three entries. So that's obviously one thing that I'm going to add in because we hit 100% in the afternoons we've missed out on opportunities, but I don't see it as missing out because I'd rather be out of a trade than obviously be a bit too aggressive and take something that's obviously not gonna give me any money back. So yeah, that's obviously always how I look at the markets. But yeah, that is obviously about all that I'm looking at this morning. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions at all? Any questions? Happy to answer. We've like I'd said this week, we've obviously done brilliant. I've been really happy. It's been very smooth. We've had a very smooth week this week. Um, any set limits? Well, what do you mean? Any set limits? And it's great to have. I don't think we've had someone from Korea, and so yeah. Um, it's nice. Nice. So yeah, basically, I mean, watch the tutorial. I've pinned it, but the only thing I'm going to edit is when I go a bit more aggressive. What I used to do is push my zones up slightly. I'm actually going to leave my zones where they are. I think you know, lot lots of times I'll be perfectly honest. If we don't have a trigger, obviously everyone is so keen to get in a trade. They they obviously, are messaging me all the time. Are there any trades? Are there any trades? So I think, to keep it plain and, simple and easy, because I don't like to trade like that, is I will be, I'll probably yeah, if I'd say in the morning before or in the afternoon, but before I'm posting trades, I'll make sure I message. I mean, I did put a video this morning, so I put a video in. I actually entered Europe after I posted that video, but yeah, so I'll make sure I put a message in, morning and afternoon. But I want us to get in a habit, like I mentioned, of banking these nice bit of profits here. So then all we're doing Thursday, Friday, if we want to increase it a bit, we're risking our profits. We're not risking our capital. All right. So that's one thing that I want everyone to get into a routine of, euro, just testing this, low here. Just want this to break and then potentially should be coming down into this area. So let's wait and see what happens here. But no, pretty happy. Like I'd said, it's been a very smooth week this week. So hopefully this continues because it's been rocky. But obviously that is what happens when there's lots of liquidity or lots of people trading and lots of indecision in the markets. It makes it very hard. So yeah. Does anyone have any more questions? Any more for any more? Any more for any more? Yeah, would have liked to get into euro, but only had the middle entry set up. Yeah, I did, like I said, I did post the video this morning. Should I set buy orders on the positions? Yeah, so I like to obviously, one reason then, or another reason why I do what I do is I like to, make sure, we obviously have people who are, working, and it's obviously a lot trickier. So the reason that I set everything out, and let me just get, I know you guys probably can't see this coming up, but I'm gonna do what pair are we on? Euro. There we go. So if I get onto Euro. So if I get into Euro, and I'll do a really like I know lots of you will I understand it, but obviously I'll do a really brief explanation here, on obviously what is happening here. Right. So when this comes into the channel, when obviously I'm documenting what I do, we've got our entry, zone here. All right. This is the entry zone. All right. So I am happy anywhere within this, zone. I am happy. All right, to enter. All right. Um. So, but what I've done, right? So that is our entry, zone here. And when I'm going a bit more aggressive, I'm gonna enter on the entry in the middle, and obviously if it pops up here, exit. All right, that way, if price pops up, I get three trades trigger. We've only got to come down to here, and we've obviously got three trades. Very very nice. Now, what I do, when obviously markets are a little bit aggressive, like they have been, we're just going to use this entry level here. All right. And you guys can do either or. All right. You can always do either or. That is just this one here. Yeah. All right, that is just this entry level. That's the ideal one because it's in the middle of my zone. All right, so yes, you can set up buy orders, sell orders. That's the idea of me posting so early. All right, because it means that everyone can get it done before they go to work, and yeah, job jobbed. So then obviously I've got my invalidation here. Basically what this means, yes, that's my, stop loss. Lots of times I might close beforehand because for this to break, trend has to change. All right, so obviously that's why I put my stop loss where it is, and then obviously yes, we got a TP1 and a TP2, so 453 and 55. I kind of use these in case we get some kind of an impulse buy and it comes up and down, where obviously then close out, accordingly. But obviously, the reason we obviously use the basket is because rather than you having say euro, all right, only. I will have euro and I'll have pound, and then potentially gold. Yeah. All right. If these are our three trades here. All right. Well, if euro is, say, for example, here, pounds here, and gold's here. All right. That's the equivalent. If we're closing all of this, yeah. All right, and this is the idea of the basket. If we're obviously happy here with the profit. Yes, it's not here TPP, right? But if you add all of this up, that will be the equivalent of your €1 trade. But obviously, all we've done, we're always going, with or against the dollar. We're almost just scattering our entries a bit, and obviously it just increases our opportunities because, like you'd see, some pairs move quicker than others, other pairs move, slower. So what it means, as long as we get the US dollar sentiment right, which I'm pretty sure I get it right, probably 75% of the time. As long as we get it right, then obviously we're gonna be profitable. It's as easy as that. So yeah. But no, right. I'm gonna end it here. I hope everyone has a great day. We are gonna smash it. I'm confident. Keep on taking away these profits off the table, and yeah, let's smash it. So have a good one, guys. Have a good one.